Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to wherever you are in the world. We are for SimLeague FS3 at Snetterton. Joined today with Quinton Plain on the cameras, myself, Jared Van Wade, as for this very close and tight circuit. What should be a good day of racing.
Exactly, I absolutely adore this track. Good evening to everybody watching at home. It's my local track actually. It's just 30 minutes down the road, and my goodness, it is such a track. It's just everyone has one of those tracks that they just adore, and this is my track. And I'm very jealous that people are getting to drive this, and I have to be in this carbon box.
Yes, I would agree. I did some laps earlier, and very addictive, very good to get going quick. So we've just had qualifying and some interesting results. We haven't got Giorgio Samalas tonight, and Thomas Hintz took out the pole position after getting in and doing a few laps today. What are your thoughts, Quinton?
Crikey, I hadn't realised who had taken pole. Hadn't really done my research.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Sorry, Mr. R Factor Man. But Hinsey on pole, that's incredible. He's filling in for Tumales and he's already beating Stefano, who's been in the car all season. That's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And he didn't have much practice either, so he's just gelled with his track and the car as well. So it'll be good to see as we're just lining up on the grid for the formation lap, I believe. We are. We'll give a quick run through of the grid as we go around. So yeah, Thomas Hintz starting on pole position with Wesley Stefano and him, his teammate. Third position we have Eric Stanford, EJ Engineering, and his teammate Manolis Sugalakis. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. So we've got a Apex Racing front row lockout. We have the EJ Engineering second row lockout. Peter Lane there in fifth position for JP Performance. Jack Mayer for the Sol Hintz Motorsport car, I believe. Kenneth Ragland in seventh position. Andreas in 8th, Ryan Turner in 9th position, Colin Walker in 10th for Scouse Racing Team, Harry Stride in 11th, Fulton Jules Camp in 12th position, and I'm very sorry, this is going to be pronounced most likely wrong, but Sofian, I'm just going to pronounce you Sofian, I'm not sure, I'm sorry.
We'll stick with that.
Yeah, we'll stick with that one. In 14th position, we have Theo, who will be starting from the pit lane due to penalties from the last round. So we're already getting onto the grid. What are your thoughts for this race? Do you reckon it will be close?
I think, yeah, it will be close. We've got a few of the big names who aren't actually here. Tumales isn't here, Watts isn't here, so they've brought in some other drivers into those teams. Hinsey's put it on pole, one of the substitutes, so I think it'll be quite a close race. Be great to see who actually comes out after 32 laps of racing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Theo just gets out of the pit lane. We've got lights, so 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. And we're underway. Thomas Hintz get a relatively okay start, but Wesley Stefano and Eric Stanford, look at that start by Eric Stanford, moves himself up into first position before turn 1. Wesley Stefano and Manolis Sugalakis. EJ Engineering have gone 1-2 after the first corner. Great start by them. Jack Mayer also a pretty good start in the Hintz Motorsport car. Bit of contact between Wesley Stefano and Manolis there as Jack Mayer runs wide.
Yeah, it was a relatively clean getaway from most drivers, apart from Hinsey. Poor Hinsey. The luck just doesn't seem to be with him in 2016, and I believe he must have got tapped around or a little bit of wheel spin, and it just speared him off to the right across the exit of pit lane, and I'm not sure where he is now, but he's going to be quite far down the back of the grid.
Yeah, he's down in 12th position now as Wesley Stefano made a move up against Eric Stanford just before. Like he's definitely got the pace of the top guys. Yeah, Kenneth Ragland and Peter Lane are having their little Wrap there for 4th position. Looks to the inside of the very, very fast turn. He's not going to get that move done on there. And Jack Mayer is down in 7th. Yeah, Thomas Hintz is actually in the pits now.
I think he had a broken front wing after the colliding with the wall on the start finish line, so his feature race is pretty destroyed already, but you can't rule out he might be able to pull off a win in the sprint race if he keeps himself at the back.
Yes, for sure. I just looked down the field. I saw a little bit of contact as a Walker and Ryan Turner. Yeah, so Wesley Stefano in 2nd. Eric Stanford's the top 3 actually are pretty close. With Peter Lane hanging back in 4th, about a second behind. Jack Mayer is in 5th. Kenneth Ragland in 6th. Andreas there in 7th, doing pretty well. Sophie Allen is doing well, 8th as well, heading Alton Jules Cramp Turner. Alan Walker's obviously had a spin because he's got no real wing.
If we have a look at Stefano now, he's getting right up into the EJ Engineering car's gearbox up ahead, and as they swing into the S's, he's trying to go around the outside that will become the inside, and it looks like he's actually got past. He
That
has.
was a very great move, actually, into the tight little section as you go into the straight. And slipstream is so vital through this very, very hard braking zone as well. Oh, they worries me every time I see the cars go to there because they go so slow. So we're back onto the main straight for what is let's finish lap 3, I believe.
Yep.
Obviously Stefano's in 1st, but Manolis is going to try on the inside. No, he's not going to do that either.
That's one of the
Very close,
characteristics of this track, is that it's so high speed constantly with all the corners that every time we potentially see a move that a driver might make, we're always going to be catching our breath. It's like, oh, please don't do it there, because it's such high speeds. These cars are going hundreds of miles an hour through the first corner. There is such a narrow window of opportunity to get through. It's very difficult to make overtaking moves here, basically.
Yeah, definitely. As I believe Manolis and Eric switched positions there, or they weren't already switched. So Eric's now trying to get the slipstream on Manolis. I'm not sure whether they're going to battle each other as such, or they're just going to try and propel themselves forward. See Wesley Stefano starting to take out a bit of a gap now, just about up to us. Oh, we have a big accident. Alton Jules Cramp has gone around. Oh, him and Jan's had a bit of a coming together. Looks like he's beached the car on the curb. No, he's got it going again. Because the curbs are quite hard to track.
It was a strange incident. It looked like Jules Cramp just lost it halfway through the corner, and then the sudden loss of pace, the car behind just ran straight into the back of him with very little chance of actually reacting to it, the sudden slowdown. So, very strange incident. It will probably be picked up and investigated after the race, as it usually is.
Yeah, exactly. As the stewards are doing a reasonably well job, especially the SFS3 series. As the last couple of races have been big content. Peter Lane's just lost it on the exit, the corner there. Someone flying off into the grass. Very sorry about that.
I need to have a look at a replay of this. So he goes into the first corner relatively cleanly, as he would, and then he puts a wheel on the outside curb on the exit, and that just spins him around very, very easily. He'll now be very wary of that curb.
It would seem like Wesley Stefano's definitely got to hang on this track. 2.5 gap already. Eric Stanford and Manolis are still battling their way in 2nd. Jack Mayer distance away in fourth is 3 seconds away from Eric. He's got Kenneth Ragland right up on his gearbox as well. Looking to the field. Thomas Hinz is going to back himself back up into points positions in 10th. 1 DNF, but Fulton 14th. Colin Walker is in 13th, just rear of the field.
We can't actually rule out the EJ Engineering boys because they're trading the fastest lap at the moment. So Wesley Stefano, I don't think he's actually really pulling away. If he is, it's only literally by a tenth or half a tenth really each lap.
Yeah, but if he's going to go on the inside, it's turn 1. Is he going to get the move done? He does get the move done. Manolis is going to lay him through. We'll see what Eric's got in terms of pace. Maybe Manolis can just stay in the slipstream as well now.
Exactly. With Stanford being so close up behind, it's kind of inevitable that a switch was going to happen to play the team game and potentially fight for the win.
Exactly, it's very important here with the slipstream, so if they can just keep in line with each other and they can slowly catch up to Wesley, that would be very beneficial for the team. Looking at Giacomeo's in 4th position, doing reasonably well for the sole Hinz Motorsport car. We haven't had a second Hinz Motorsport car for a while. Even in Interlagos, there was only one Motorsport driver there.
That's correct, and it's a shame to see them beginning to drop off as well. They were relative, their midfield in the constructors title, and that midfield is really quite intense at the moment. You have a top 3 who are all well aware, well apart from the rest of the field, so it's a close battle and they need a second permanent driver in there as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to Mike Quint, Mike Anderson, however you wish to know, whatever name you wish to know him by. He's driving for the Hinz Motorsport team, but he hasn't been here the last 2 weeks. This week he's at Hungary, the F1s, and obviously won't be able to make it back in time, fortunately. But yeah, he hasn't been around for a couple of weeks now, so playing for the Hinz team. But you do, I suppose. Bit of a shame that Hinz is not actually driving for his team either. So.
Well, with his luck, it would bring his team very much luck. Hinzi's had all the bad luck in 2016. I absolutely feel for him because he just keeps getting involved in incidents that just aren't his fault. As we look at Peter Lane trying to get past Andreas and gets his move done into turn 2. Nice clean overtake there. But yeah, Hinzi, he clearly has the pace, and it's just trying to get a string of clean races out to give him self-confidence back.
Yeah, of course, and I'm just looking at the times now. Thomas Hinz has set the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago. Eric Sanford's actually slowly catching Wesley Stefano here. He's just pulled a 10th back on him from this lap. We've got 22 laps to go, so a bit of a distance left, and they're still going to do pit stops. So it will be interesting to see how we go today. It'll be very, very close, I reckon, with these drivers.
Exactly, and it just proves perhaps his teammate was holding him up a little bit in those opening half dozen laps. So now he's got relatively clean air. He can try and catch up to Stefano and try and fight for that win.
So it would also be interesting to see this kind of tyre wear they've got, because I know the EJ Engineering drivers weren't complaining too much about the tyre wear. They could basically go the entire sprint race without needing to worry about the tyres. And Eric's just spun at the exit of the final chicane. Wesley Stefano pulled out that gap. So a good 4 seconds. With Manolis there in second position now. bit of a shame for Eric Stanford as well. He will just get back and great, we would hope.
Exactly, he's only lost the position to his teammate, so for the team it doesn't really affect him. For his own personal championship, well, there's a couple of points in it between second and third, but he's shown that he had the pace. He pulled out a 2-second gap in a couple of laps on his teammate once he got released, so he's got the pace and we might see him back in second quite soon.
Yeah, for sure. Just we'll see how we go, because pit stops are roughly estimated to be around lap 15, 16. So we'll see, maybe he can do something and hit earlier and hope for the undercut. Not much of an undercut bonus, unfortunately, for this track, as it's such a high-speed circuit and the tyres aren't important. Wearing as much fuel, obviously, you have to, refueling, so not much of a difference in terms of time gain depending on which guys in front.
Exactly, as it looks like the field is beginning to spread out and just settle into this feature race. And this is something we've seen throughout the season, where we've had a relatively calm feature race and then all hell breaks loose in the sprint race, doesn't it?
Oh yes, definitely. We saw last round out, which wasn't broadcasted unfortunately in Interlagos. That was a very, very hot for the sprint race. The feature race, Manolis pits actually, just looking now, he's done a very early pit stop.
Very early, considering...
Yeah, very early indeed.
And more drivers are coming in behind. Considering it's only lap 13 and we have another 19 laps to go, this is very, very early. I would have thought they would have been coming in lap 30, well, not lap 13, sorry, lap 15 maybe for the if they wanted to try the undercut. It's just very early as we see Andres spinning around at turn 1 there in the background.
I'm wondering if he saw the gap that he would get when he came out of the pits and thought that that would be the best time to do it. Look at his lap times in comparison. Thomas Hint still has the fastest lap of the race. 7.3. Interestingly, last lap around Eric Stanford was 6/10 quicker.
I'm just going to throw out a wild suggestion. Do you think Hinsey could do the entire race on the tyres he's got now? He pitted at the end of lap 1 for a new front wing, and the tyre wear isn't particularly high here. So is there a possibility that he might be going nearly the entire race without having to make a pit stop in the middle of it?
It is quite a possibility, actually. It'll be very interesting to keep an eye on, because Thomas Hint is relatively quick. He's keeping up with the same pace as the front guys. He can just a little bit more. He'll be within the pit stop time, as it's roughly 30 seconds. Pit stop, as you can see, Manolis is 30 seconds away from the lead. He was only 2 seconds. That is a good observation, Quinton. Sure. Clear the field for any bad. See.
So the running order at the moment was Stefano followed by Stanford, and there's Stanford actually is pitted just recently.
No, he hasn't. It's just been a glitch with the timing.
Oh yeah, I see.
Although he must have made a mistake, because his last lap time was 1 minute. think he's made a mistake. He's lost a good second on that lap alone.
Exactly, I wonder where he's lost that, because there's not many corners on this track, so...
He's made a mistake in the second set track. Final second, he was just slow. Yeah, tire smoke. Yeah, Nick. Theodorus is in the pits. Wesley Stefano passes to lap him. Wesley Stefano holding out the tyres well as well. See when he pits.
Exactly, he's going to have a relatively short second stint, so he will probably be very quick and be able to punish his tyres in the second stint. So it's impressive that he's got a mate this far. It's all just a mate managing it, really.
Yeah, Peter Lane's now in the pits as well. Thomas Hintz passes Peter Lane for 5th position.
Has Hinsey actually pitted in the middle of the race, or is his sole pit stop only been on lap 1?
His sole pit stop was lap 1. Times are pretty good actually.
Yeah, he'll only be, cause he's about 30 to 40 seconds down on the leader. So if we say it's 30 seconds for a pit stop, which roughly is around that 25 to 30 in these FS3 cars, he'll be pretty close, in fact.
The leader has pitted, and so has Stanford. And guess who is coming up to pass Greg Stanford into turn 1? Close. Nollis is now in position. Wesley Stefano has now... He's run wide actually at the end of turn 2. That's going to lose a lot of time. So we're back to how it was before pit stops. Wesley Stefano in first, and then Nollis third, and Jack Mayer in fourth. He's got himself back up. He's only a second. Keep these tyres in order. We can see him at the back of the Eric Sanders or Manos in the race for sure.
Exactly, and just considering Menelaus again, he made that undercut work. The undercut doesn't really work too well in these cars or on this track, but he made it work because Stanford was ahead before all the latest round of pit stops happened. So he's made it work, and he's got a 1 second gap back to his teammate. So can he control the race from here? Who knows?
We'll see. Manos is starting to catch Arno, but Eric Sanford is very quick at the back straight, already up to his teammate gearbox. Also slowly catching Jack Mayer. Bit of a battle with Peter. Theodorus is running a bit of a lonely race there in position for Tafel Motorsport. Run very slow. He's just letting through the
Exactly, but he's...
Walker rounds out top 10.
Theo obviously struggled because he had a pit lane start at the beginning of this race, so naturally he's only released from the pit lane after everyone's passed the first sector timing beam, which is a good 20-30 seconds here, so he's naturally lost that much off of the leaders straight off, and he's done well to keep himself within about 40 seconds of the leaders. As we see him across the line, we'll get an actual timing. 36.7, 36.8 seconds off, so he's 8 seconds, he would be 8 seconds off the ultimate pace from the leaders at this point now, so that would put him in 4th. So he has the pace, it's just he had a pit lane start, and that's obviously punishment for his antics in Interlagos, and well, there's not much more to say about it.
No, exactly. Just looking while you're talking there, Quinton Eric Stanford's just passed his teammate inside of turn 2 or 3. Definitely showing he's got pace. As Norris now looks to get the slipstream, and he's not going to challenge him, so he obviously knows who's quicker.
Just a quick question: are the stewards running track limits enforcements on turn 2, on the exit of turn 2, as we see someone who's spun at the final chicane getting in the way of the two EJ engineering guys? Yeah, track limits on exit of turn 2. Is stewards looking at that specifically at this race?
Turn 2 is very specific, but what we've allowed, so what Manolis just did then is allowed. You're allowed to go 4 wheels off the track, but you've only got a roughly meter of leeway until it becomes too much of an extension. Because obviously these cars have got very low downforce, so we're just allowing that week. Also, the chicane at the end of the lap is under a lot of scrutiny as well.
Ah, I see. I didn't know you could really cut the chicane, really, unless you went full throttle through over on the grass and dirt.
Yeah, and it's one of those chicanes as well that really gives its own penalty sort of thing. Go over it, you're very likely to spin because the curbs are so high. As is those curbs around the entire track, really. You can't really lean on the curbs at this track.
Exactly as Peter Lane found out on the exit turn 1 in the opening few laps, as he went for that massive spin at such a high speed.
I think Thomas Hintz has had a bit of a moment somewhere. Dropped back off by 5 seconds. He still holds the fastest lap overall. No one else. Definitely got the pace. He just obviously had that unlucky start.
Hinsey had a little moment into the S's at the end of the back straight, trying to pass a back marker, and it's just a little bit of confusion. He ended up having to straight line the chicane, obviously slowing down for it. But yeah, a little bit of confusion that wasn't really helpful for him, but he's weaving down the front straight, which is very strange. Would he be suffering from really cold tyres?
I did notice doing some long run testing for some guys that the right front was actually very cold compared to the other tyres. It didn't heat up as much. So quite possibly he's just trying to get some heat into those tyres. Get some grip, because grip is definitely going to be pretty low, especially seeing these tyres for 23 laps now.
That's a good point.
There's also a possibility that he's just trying to give Peter Lane a bit of a warning that chasing him, get him into the mirrors, showing that he's there, put him under a bit of pressure.
Exactly, but I don't think that much weaving that we saw on the main straight is going to really put any pressure on Peter Lane. It probably more slowed Hinsey down, but hopefully he's got some heat into those tyres, and obviously we know it is pretty cold in Britain, and at the moment the track temperature is only 25 degrees, so it's pretty cold.
Yeah, exactly. Just the grip in general on this track is pretty poor, especially on the outside of the couple. Cobblestone on the exit just gets the tyres really just loose. Don't want to lose the grip around this track, as Eric Stanford is really catching Wesley Stefano now. his last lap was a full second quicker. I know Wesley's got some lap to deal with and past him now, so we'll see the pace difference. Eric Stanford's definitely got potential to win this race as long as he can get to the back of Stefano. Not much time to do it, he's only got 7 laps to go.
Yep, 7 laps, but the difference is only 3 seconds now, so if he's catching a second a lap, we might have 4 laps of Stefano trying to defend.
Marcus is still hanging out there in position, doing well in 4th, just keeping steady.
Stanford's off at he had to straight line the final chicane. It looked like coming out of the very high speed corner that's actually flat. Just got out too wide, tyres maybe have lost a bit of grip now, and got onto the grass and just couldn't brake at that point, so ended up having to straight line the chicane, and as we see, he drops 5 seconds off the leader.
Yeah, that's one of those corners that I was talking about with the cobblestone, because you don't really notice it, but on the outside there is a little bit of cobblestone. You just get it slightly wrong, you can say goodbye to your grip, and there was a Stride just lost the rear and got it beached again, same place as he did earlier with those high curbs.
Now looking back at the battle for P5 between Peter Lade and Hinsey, and Hinsey's closed up. He's within about a second now at this point, so he's probably going to be looking to catch onto the toe down the back straights, and obviously this being such a high speed circuit, if he's got low enough wings and a good enough high top speed in that car, we might see a little bit of a battle for P5 coming out quite soon.
Well, that would be good, and if he get that position, it's definitely credit to his driving style, because tyres must be absolutely on fire right now.
Exactly, he hasn't pitted, so he's been going on those tyres. And at this point, he might as well keep going until the end of the race. So he's going to have done 31 laps on one set of tyres. And that is incredible.
Indeed, and yeah, Kenneth Raglan has just small spin at the final shot. No, it looks like Wesley Stefano's got this under control. Has a spin at the back there, just looking. Was Jan bit of a spin and just got in the way there of Marcus. He had winning action.
Hiddensey's closing on P5.
Oh wow, he definitely has, hasn't he?
Yeah. We just have the Jaws music playing in the background. That would be perfect for Hinsey. Great white sharks and whatnot in Australia.
Well, there's the blue flags are looking interesting. Help Thomas goes up onto the lane. Away now. He won't make a move to turn 1 and 2, but the long straight coming up, he's definitely going to get the toes. He hangs it out wide on the corner. Much more loose. But got a better exit. He's got that slipstream now. Can he make the move into straight? Speed advantage, but looks like he's got the car under a lot more control than Peter Lane does. Stride just from back there.
Exactly, and Hinsey's starting to pile on the pressure as they headed into the S's section at the end of the back straight. He just darted out a little bit, and as Hinsey goes a little bit deep into the final chicane. But as I was saying, Hinsey just darted out a little bit just to make Lane aware that he was closing, and Lane appeared to crumble a little bit and went quite deep into the chicane, and ultimately ended up losing a lot of time. And that's how Hinsey was so close behind him coming into the final chicane, but he's lost the ground again once again.
Yep, and I believe we've got a race winner, Wesley Stefano for Apex Racing, who wins the Grand Prix. He wins his, I think it's his first season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but commanding drive, very controlled. Had a bit of pressure from Eric Stanford, but making a couple of mistakes, it's led it to himself, and I think Manolis Sigalakis has crashed somewhere. The last lap. Jack Mayer will get third position. Ed Lane holds off Thomas Hinz at the end there to fourth, and Thomas Hinz fifth. Theodoros is going to most likely be sixth position and Man seventh because lapped. I don't quite know what happened at the end there, but still gets his points. Race.
I was just having a look at the incident. It's very strange what happened to Menelaus. It looked like he just lost it coming out of the S's. Seems like he got onto the grass on exit of one of the corners, and then it just flicked him across, and he couldn't hold it out of the walls. Very unfortunate for him, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Fortunately, yeah, that's a bit of unlucky position there, I'm afraid. But sprint race now to back, and well, I must say we must congratulate Wesley Stefano. That brilliant commanding win. Feature race.
Exactly, and that is his first race win this season, so it's pretty good for him.
Even message from Manolis that his wheel actually disconnected when he tried to catch the. See if he's coming back onto the racing for the next. But we'll take this moment to take a quick break, and we'll be back. back and the feature race British Grand Prix. What are your thoughts on that race there, Quinton?
It was a pretty good race at the end there, so Wesley Stefano kind of, I wouldn't say dominated, it was pretty close at the end. And Eric Stanford did kind of kept trying to get the home win for himself, but little mistakes here and there just kept creeping in for him. So every few laps that he managed to close the gap down to 3 seconds, then there might just be a mistake where he ran wide or a little bit of spin or traffic. It just didn't have any luck, Eric Stanford. So he missed out on a home win, but to finish within 5 seconds with all his mistakes throughout the race, that's pretty good for him. Jack Mayer clinched third as well, so he'll be very happy. And a podium for Hinsey with his team. And then Hinsey himself gets a P5. So after having to pit on lap 1, it's quite good to get back into top 5 once again. Finishing only 26 seconds off of the leader, so that's pretty good pace.
Yeah, definitely. As just talking to him now, he's saying the tyre wear was pretty good, but yeah, 30 laps on those tyres means the sprint race is definitely going to be manageable. So be interesting pit stops, we hope. We're just in the warm up for the feature for the sprint race. Everyone just getting a bit of a break. Down paper. We must remember that we will be reverse grid this feature race results. So Wesley Stefano, who got one? We'll see soon enough, I guess. Join on the server. Take this opportunity, I guess. We can go through the Constructors Championships and then we'll go through the drivers. So out in first position is Apex Racing, 449 points, I think. Second position is JP Performance, 5 points, and third place is Tafel Motorsport, 297. Fourth position, EJ Engineering, 7 points. Very close behind them position is Hints Motorsport, 202. Team UMC in 6th position, 110 points. Chaos Racing Team, 7th position. Revolt Racing, 8th position. On finding out the final constructor's position is Team Prospect. So with the driver standings now, even though he's not here, George Samalas is first position on 278 points. Peter Lane in second position, 217 points. Theodoros on 29 points in third position. Joe Watts in fourth position, 108. Wesley Stefano quite close behind him. If he will actually leapfrog him now. Wesley Stefano will be fourth position after tonight. Mike Anderson in sixth on Carlos Vansis, seventh on 108. Eric Stanford in eighth. Jack Mayer in ninth position on 94 points, and Lucy. So how do you think the championship's going to pan season. Obviously tight in certain areas, but I must say that Apex race is very good for the rest of the season.
Certainly, Apex are looking good for the win, considering they've only been formed for what, a year. They're doing pretty well to be dominating. Well, not quite dominating because JV Performance are fighting back a little bit. They scored more points last time out than Apex in Interlagos, and we'll see.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Thank you, R Factor Man, for interrupting. And we'll see after today's final race if JV Performance will actually move up, get more points than Apex once again, and maybe we might have a late charge from them.
Yeah, exactly. That would be interesting to see if they can close it out. It's mathematically possible, I believe. But yeah, Drivers' Championship as well. Georgia Samola some miles ahead. Showed an utter start to the season. He's obviously the leisure to take a couple of days off if he can't make it. So a 60-point lead. Only 2 feature races. Peter Lane's not really showing.
Exactly, but you have to consider Peter Lane hasn't actually had a feature win this season, or any win in fact. So, well, actually no, I think he had a win last time out, or a couple of races ago in the sprint race, but he hasn't had, where all the big points are dished out, he hasn't had the win, and he's just been consistent, getting on the podium, in the top 5 consistently, so that's why he's in second place. And it's just the difference is that Tumalis is just picking up those wins and getting the extra 3 or 4 points per race, and that adds up to the 60-point lead he's got now.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll quickly mention now that we're going to go through our summer break. Obviously, we've got FS1 in next Friday at Nordscliff. So biggest race of the season for FS1. Do you think that will be?
Oh, that will be absolute chaos. I will be honest. Nordschleifer, 150 corners, no one remembers them all, and they're FS1 cars as well. But hey, it's great to drive at the same time. It's a challenge, and everyone loves a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe I'll be racing for Eric Sand. Unfortunately, there won't be much commentating, but I am looking forward to a good challenge.
Exactly, and who knows, maybe I'll jump in a car and drive Nordschleifer again.
I think you did well there last year, didn't you?
I think I drove there. It might have been last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember. But I just remember that I finished P10 after a chaotic race. Many pit stops, and it's only 8 laps in total we drive, so yeah, it was chaotic. 8 laps, 10 laps. I know that much. It's 10 laps of Nordschleife next week.
Yeah, I think when I was racing, I raced there last year. I think I lost 3 laps before I beached it on a curb, and the end of that race.
Yep, a lot of that happens, which is unfortunate, but it is the green hell. It's called the green hell, so we have to expect it.
Yeah, exactly. There's fortunate news for EJ Engineering. Alice will not be racing sprint race due to some computer issues. Disconnection of the wheel. He's now come up with a computer error loading the screen, so he will not be racing this race.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Really don't like that voice.
Which I think anyone does. Be a little bit pleased when we move over to R Factor 2 next year. wouldn't have this really deafening man in our ears every time we go to the race.
Exactly. As ready to start. Runs on the grid now. Seem to have a bit of an issue with the grid at the back there. I'm not sure what's happened. Stanford's meant to start in front of Wesley Stefano. There.
Who knows? He's only lost one position, so he could easily make that up on the start. And Stanford is quite good on his starts, as we've seen in FS1 quite a lot.
So we'll run through the grid of the sprint race. So leading the pack, we've got Alton Jules Cramp. I think that's the team.
Team UNC, I believe.
Yes. In second, have Andreas, and third position, very, very difficult to pronounce name, Sofiane. Sorry again if we get this wrong, if you get this after the race. Sixth position, we have Harry Stride. Sorry. Fourth position, that was. Sorry, I'm looking. They're getting very close to each other in the warm-up lap. So, Colin Walker in seventh position, Ryan Ragland starting. Doris, Thomas Hintz in 11th, Peter Lane 12th, Jack Mayer 13th, Wesley Stefano in 14th, which should be the other way around, but we're not. Eric Stanford in. See how this goes, then race, we'll see. Okay, so we've got the lights. Lights are up. We're underway. Very, very bad start at the back there. There's an accident on the straight as we've got a store. Andreas gets away relatively cleanly. Look down and see how many cars are involved in that. I don't see too many. Colin Walker there has that. Bit of a shame, he couldn't really do much about it. Andreas gets the good start that he wanted. Alton Jules Cramp there in second. Harry Stride into third. You are right. Eric Stanford has already moved up into sixth position.
That was an absolutely incredible start. I want to watch this back. Oh, as we just see a little bit of contact, a massive contact between in P4 with, I think it was his sole Hinds Motorsport entry here, which would have been Jack Mayer, and it seemed like it was Ryan Turner as well in a JP performance car.
This is looking very, very tight as we've got a huge accident at the end of the S's there. That was really messy from everyone involved. They're trying to go 4 wide into the S's. I don't know if you're going to put a replay on that, but that was really good to see. Well, not really good, but just crazy stuff from the drivers.
It seemed like it was the Revolt car that initially triggered everything off, running into the back of another car, and then that forced them to spin across, and, well, an accident, and that's what we come to expect in sprint races.
Yeah, exactly. Eric Stanford right up the back of Alton Jules Cramp there, trying to get that position. Wesley Stefano's also stayed with Eric. Very, very close. Alton Jules is not very quick, so that's leading Wesley Stefano to the back. But they're getting very close on the braking. It's the S's again. Very close racing. This is obviously what happens when the grid is reversed. You know who's really enjoying this? Andreas up ahead and pulled out a 3.5 second gap for Eric Stanford. A 4-second gap now as they cross the line.
Exactly, but although Andreas has set the fastest lap, it was a good second off of what we saw in the first race. So, has he got the ultimate pace? Will he be able to defend? Let's hope so. But it looks like he's already lost a 10-4-2 in the first sector to Stanford's setting a quick sector that just then.
You know who set the purple first sector? Thomas Hintz. Down in 11th position has set the first purple sector.
Why is Hinsey down there? He needs to be higher up. He has the pace.
Yeah, exactly. Fastest lap at the moment is Theodorus, but he's down very far down in the back of the field. There's a big battle going on between Jack Mayer, Ryan Turner, Harry Stride, and Austin Jules Graham and Peter Lane. They're all battling for their positions. Wesley Stefano on the back of Eric Steele, as we saw. Yeah. There's Raglan's keeping with them as well, so that's always good. But we know Wesley Stefano's got a lot less fuel on board because he believes he can get to the end on quite fuel. Risky, but we'll see how that pans out. Yep, Thomas Hintz sets the fastest lap of the race.
And how far is he off of the lead? He's about 10 seconds off of the lead, so didn't see what happened in the opening laps to him, but maybe he might be able to get himself back up there.
Yeah, we've got Eric Stanford now taking it 2 seconds away from Andreas, so he's caught the entire second and a half. Thomas Hintz has the fastest lap of the race, and Eric Stanford has second fastest, quite close in times. So Thomas Hintz has just passed Austin Jules. No, he hasn't.
I don't think we should commentate on Hinsey anymore. I think we're giving him bad luck. Every time.
Yeah, sorry, Hinsey. Very, very sorry for that.
Maybe he's doing his weaving in. Maybe he's doing it because he's agitated. Because he's having all this bad luck. Who knows?
Or he's just listening to us in the background and he's just getting mad at us, so he's just telling us, talking about him.
Yeah, but if he's weaving about it, it'll make us talk about him even more. It's the only action that's half decent that isn't crashes, so... But looking up at the front of the field, it's actually really close.
Yes, indeed. Wesley Stefano's right on the tail of Eric Stanford, and Andreas has gone very wide. That's going to leave the door open for Eric Stanford. Wesley Stefano's going to try and get the slipstream on Eric as well, so we're going to see a double move into... Could we see a double move? He looks to the inside. Oh, I don't want to call it. Too close. Nope, that's okay. We're through. Eric Stanford has taken the lead, but Wesley Stefano is right on his tail now.
Cannot breathe yet. 3 wide into the S's section at high speed. 444. They are very brave.
These cars don't have the downforce of the FS1 cars, so they're got to be putting a lot of trust into each other. Like he's definitely got the pace. He just sets the fastest lap in the race, 8-1.
I tell you what, we need FS1 cars going around here. I drove them on the launch of the T4 car earlier this year. Oh, it's the best car to drive around here. So much fun.
You could probably go flat through some of the corners, couldn't you?
You go flat through most of them, in fact. You only have to slow down for the chicanes, and then the rest of them, that's it, full throttle.
Wow. So I talked to the one admins, get maybe a
I'll start a campaign, FS1 at Snetterton.
It'd be quite interesting to see. Well, there's an R Factor 2 conversion for Snetterton, so pre-season testing maybe.
I like your idea.
Wesley Stefano's definitely got the pace over Eric Stanford. He's all over the back of him, just can't place to pass. Back straight, speed. Is he going to have enough? Looking, he's gone to the inside. And just keeping it where he needs to. You got any big movers in the field anyway? Hintz is up into 6th position. Theodoros into 8th. Raglan's keeping Jack Mayer 4th, and Andreas is still holding his own in 3rd, but yeah, he's under pressure. Eric Sanford and West still going at it.
So we have a battle for the first, we have a battle for P3. Not quite a battle for P5. Hinsey is a little bit off of Mayer's time, about 6 seconds, but we know Hinsey, he'll catch up. Battle for 7th though.
I was just about to say there's a battle for 12th place, but Harry Stride has gone wayward onto the exit of the corner as he tried to on. Loses a bit of traction on the exit. Someone now moves into 10th position, that is the point scoring position for the sprint race. Thomas Hintz sets the fastest lap of the race yet again. Well, in this battle for first position, Wesley Stefano has pushed Eric very wide off the track. In that corner, I'm afraid, but go through into P1. So that Wesley Stefano is already a second ahead. Just at halfway distance now. And we've now lost our battle for P1, I guess. So.
Not necessarily. We can still hold out hope. But
We'll keep that hope.
yeah, Stefano clearly has got the pace to pull away. It looks like they've got a little bit of lap traffic and a battle up ahead with a UNC and an LPR car going too wide into the Essex section. I'm not sure who they were.
There's a pretty decent battle between 12th and 11th place, Olsen Jules Crab and Sofiane. Harry Stride was there, but he ran wide, and this is the battle just ahead of Wesley Stefano. Wesley Stefano's got a lot more speed over the blue flag drivers. Oh no, we've got an accident. Olsen Jules Crab and Sofiane have taken each other out to the lap just ahead of the leaders.
Let's have a look at that on the replay. So, as they come through that corner, obviously back mark there as well, and they misjudge it and just clip them. And yep, it's unfortunate, but they'll take that experience into the next race and hopefully not go and make the mistakes.
Exactly. So, looking, Eric Stanford's just that slight little bit quicker than Wesley Stefano now. Obviously, if you're in the slipstream, it's definitely beneficial on this track. As with Colin Walker and Blue Flags and Harry Stride and Diana going at it again. Milton Jules Crump has retired. Well, so that's a bit of a shame for him.
I think he got involved in that final chicane incident.
Yes.
And he was spun onto, because he was the one that originally got hit up the back end, and that basically forced him to straight line the chicane while spinning, and then I believe he ended up on the exit curb the chicane, and that's where you can beach the car, unfortunately. So sad times for him, but he's had a half decent debut season actually so far.
Yeah, indeed, and this battle for P1 is definitely heating up. Eric is right on the gearbox of Wesley Stefano now, almost touch into the S's. See what lap times are like. The last lap, Wesley was a 58.9. They're both 58.9s, obviously. Eric's definitely got the pace back slipstream, so we'll see how we go as we come in. Turn 2 is a bit of an annoying one because you have to go slower, and Eric's definitely gets a much better exit. Right behind Wesley Stefano slipstream. Can he move? He should want room. Right next to each other now. Eric's just on along. Go too wide. Quite too wide, Eric. Just this is very, very close racing on other.
So we have a battle.
P1 and P2 take each other out, but
Yeah, battle for P1 is Stanford gets a little bit onto the grass on the exit there. There's also a battle for P3 as well between Mayo and Ragland.
Jack Mayo passed Ragland.
Yeah, indeed, it was very, very close. We saw them just very briefly as they started this lap, as they come to finish it now, and they're very close at that point through turn 1 and turn 2. Looked almost as though they're going for the move in turn 1, didn't quite, and then had to cut back to the action at the front.
Yeah, Stanford right on the tail again. Great. And the move done this time is a little bit closer, but no, still Wesley Stefano. Wesley gets a lot slower exit, and Eric's on the inside. Oh, this is very close enough. We've done there. But you know who's catching up to the battle for third position? Thomas Hintz.
Go Hinsey.
He's now into fourth actually, because Kenneth Ragland just lost the traction and spun at the exit, I believe.
I'm having a look at
Hinsey's
this
up
on the
into fourth.
replay. So he goes for the dive bomb into the S's, doesn't quite get it, and coming out of the chicane, just spins up the rear wheels and spins across onto the grass. But Hinsey will take that any day. He's now caught up right onto the back of his of Jack Mayer, which is a bit interesting because what does Hinsey do at this point? Does he let his team take the podium, or does he go for the podium?
I think he'd be in that state of mind where he just wants to get some points after the disastrous first race. So we'll see. I think he might go for it if he is given a chance. He's much quicker than Mayo.
Exactly, and if he was gonna let his Jack Mayer, his driver, actually get that point or podium, he would not be pressuring him this much. As I quickly glanced up to the leaders, and there's still a good half second, only half a second between them, so, but it still remains that Stanford just can't quite get past. As we look back to the battle for P3.
It's side by side coming into the section where Eric cannot pass. It was Hintz. Got the move done. Brilliant move. Hanging around on the outside. He obviously then had the inside line, but he's not quite giving it up here. No, he's just given up then. Thomas Hintz has moved up into the podium position.
And that is how you make the move into the S's section. It's quite a ballsy move to go around the outside at such high speed, and then obviously it's a difficult corner to brake for because you're turning left and then you have to be braking at the same time as turning, which with luckily drivers are allowed ABS in this championship. If they didn't have the ABS, that I suspect would be seeing a lot of lockups there.
Yes, for sure. I just want to divert your attention back to P1. Eric Stanford almost made the move stick around the outside of the S's, which we just saw Thomas Hintz go into, but didn't quite have that courage to go up the side. And I think Eric's going to have another shot at this. There's only 4 laps left. Running out of time, but great battle, a race-long battle between the top 2 drivers this race.
I just looked back
I can't call who's going to win this.
I just looked back to P7 and Kenneth Ragland looks like he just went for a similar spin like Peter Lane had in the first race, in the feature race at turn 1. Just lost it on the exit, got onto the curb, and that spun him.
And for him, as there's a battle going on now, 5th and 6th, and Kenneth. They're quite close, but Eric Stanford's on the grass trying to escape. He's run wide at the chicane. Does he get away with that? It was no good for the brakes, fortunately.
Well, as you mentioned, the
final lap.
You mentioned the battle for P5. Suddenly it all just kicked off in turn 2. Andreas got knocked from behind, couldn't see what car it was, and then... Oh no, sorry, I think Andreas just spun on his own, and then there was a little bit of contact with Ragland, was one of the cars. Couldn't see who else was involved, but a little bit of an incident back there. He dropped quite a long time there as well too.
Back to the battle for first position. I don't think there's much of a battle anymore, but the last couple of corners for the race, and it looks like he's going to take back-to-back wins. Here we go, crossing the line, Wesley Stefano. Little win. Wins the feature and the sprint race. Almost took out the full goods of the weekend, but his teammate Thomas Hintz took the pole position, unfortunately, for him. But Hintz does finish in 3rd position. He will be mighty out. Is off in 4th. Peter Lane just about to finish off in 5th. Just finished there in 8th. But yeah, Peter Lane crosses the line in 5th position. Theodoros will be the next to cross. Colin Walker crosses. Theodoros takes 6th position for Tafel Motorsport. Is Harry Stride. Race is DNF'd in the last lap, unfortunately. Stride rounds off the final finishes, and well, what a race. What a race we just had. Wesley Stefano battling the entire race. Oh, I breathe a little bit now. That was...
We just had battles up and down the entire grid, for entire field throughout that. It's just proving that the sprint race, everyone just goes for it. And it wasn't too bad in terms of, well, poor driving, let's say. There's a few bumps here and there, but it's actually relatively clean.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be really good for hopes. I think. Shout out to there for going in at the last minute, taking pole position. Fortunately, having some bad luck in the back, and he out the final top 3. There was Wesley Stefano to win after he won the feature race as well. Eric Stanford finishes in 2nd position for EJ Engineering. Pretty good, solid turn. Manolis couldn't finish but on the synths there for Apex. Any final thoughts on the?
Well, I was just looking at the race results, and it almost was that the top 5 were almost exactly the same. If it wasn't for Hinsey finishing up in P3 in the second race, we would have had the exact same results. But oh well, Hinsey gets a top gets onto the podium in the sprint race. So that's good news. But no, Wesley Stefano doing the double, as his teammate has done so many times this year so far, or this season, sorry. And Eric Sanford couldn't quite match him today, unfortunately, but he's found some pace in this car, and he can now work with that heading into the final half of this season.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very interesting end to the season. We head into the summer break for FS3. Next weekend is FS1 at Green Hill. I'll be looking forward to that one. But yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you FS1 next week at Nürburgring. My name is Jared Vanderweide, and thank you guys for joining. Quinton, thank you very much for the camera. Of course, being my co-commentator tonight.
It's quite alright, it's a pleasure.
Good to hear. Thanks again, guys, and see you next time. Bye-bye.